Well, the Thousand Year Blood War Arc Part 3 is over. But the fun doesn't end there. There's still one core left to go, which will adapt the final batch of chapters from the manga, including the last few battles of the war between Shinigami and Quincy. The Thousand Year Blood War Arc Part 3 was amazing, and I'm already hard at work on my full reviews of both episodes 39 and 40, but I also want to do a holistic review of the core itself, as we have done each time previously, including a fully updated ranking of all 40 episodes to date, which doesn't sound easy. But for now, it's time to look ahead. As is kind of tradition at this point, a teaser for the next core has been released alongside the finale of the current core, and we're going to take a look together, although I know I am a little late to this, and I haven't seen this yet, but if history is anything to go by, it should tease a few of the upcoming events of Part 4, and considering this is going to be the final part, I'm curious as to how much they actually choose to show here. Clocking in at a meager 38 seconds long, this is a pretty short trailer. For comparison's sake, the first trailer released for Part 2, a couple of years ago now, was almost 2 minutes long, while the first trailer for Part 3 was just over a minute long, so they have been getting steadily shorter with each one. These trailers normally highlight conceptual 3D images that tease upcoming events and battles, and maybe there will be a tiny bit of footage in here as there normally is, but I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, before we take a look at the trailer, we are going to discuss whatever we see here, as well as Core 4 itself. So of course there will be spoilers for whatever remains of the Thousand Year Blood War arc in this video to come, and there's not going to be a lot to spoil really because we're so close now to the end, which yeah is kind of a frightening thought. And if you did enjoy this video, then please make sure to hit subscribe as well. I'd love to get the channel to the next milestone of 300,000 subscribers, and with your help we can make it, so thank you very much. But regardless of whether or not you subscribe, thank you so much for being here, I really do appreciate it. Anyway, without further ado, let's take a look at this new trailer. What's immediately interesting is that it says here that Part 4 is titled The Calamity, which is an intriguing choice for a name for this final season. But we'll discuss that, we'll go into it a bit more after seeing the trailer, because maybe it'll give us some idea as to where that name actually comes from. So, anyway, here we go with the very first trailer for Bleach the Thousand Year Blood War Arc Part 4, titled The Calamity. Okay, Ichigo's swords. It is the 3D conceptual images as expected. No dialogue or anything so far, just Ichigo's swords. Okay. Okay, that's pretty cool. So that's, of course, when Ichigo's blade turns white after he essentially awakens, well, White himself, and bringing the blades together for... Okay, they're just showing Ichigo's bankai, and they're showing Ichigo's bankai cut in half. Okay. Okay, that's really cool artwork. I mean, that is artwork... I don't think that's specifically got anything to do with the Calamity. That was released alongside a picture of Bankai Rukia. I can't remember what for off the top of my head, but it was just a piece of artwork that Kubo himself created. But regardless, they're using it here as promotion for the Calamity. That is pretty cool. That trailer did not show a lot, but simultaneously showed maybe two of the biggest spoilers the part could have possibly included. Let's just go through it one more time. I mean, there's not a lot to look at here. This is way leaner than the previous first trailers for cores we've had in the past. There's no dialogue or anything, which is interesting. There's nothing to glean there. I mean, it's kind of cool seeing Ichigo's swords. The long one is black and red, and the shorter one is blue. Then, yeah, of course, you get the moment where he awakens White after basically pumping it full of Yhwach's Quincy Reiatsu. Interesting to see the actual hilt has like a wrapping around it, which I'm not sure it actually has. But then they actually show Ichigo's bankai, and then perhaps even crazier than that, they actually show Ichigo's bankai being snapped in two. I mean, that could easily be where the name The Calamity is coming from, but actually I think the name is probably, I mean, it didn't tell us anything here. That is really a fantastic shot of Ichigo. No, I think The Calamity probably comes from the fact that this core is going to essentially be the end of the world. I know we talked about that briefly at the start of Core 3, but especially in the finale with Yhwach actually enacting his plan, beginning to enact his plan to collapse the worlds already, seeing those tears in the sky above Karakura Town as the Soul Society threatens to collide with it. Actually getting to see that in the episode was so cool, and that is more what I think the Calamity is referring to, the actual end of the world, the apocalyptic event that Yhwach is trying to initiate. But I mean, it could be about Ichigo's Bankai being broken. I'm actually really surprised the trailer showed that. Now the trailers for the 1,000 Year Blood War Arc anime haven't shied away from spoilers in the past. The very first trailer we ever got showed adult Hitsugaya. That's not even been in the anime yet. But yeah, okay, that was really short. We potentially have a good idea already of what to expect in Core 4, and safe to say this trailer didn't really touch on any of it at all, focusing in entirely on one particular fight, which is, of course, Ichigo and Orihime versus Yhwach, spoiling what I would consider two pretty massive aspects of not just that battle, but the core itself. Ichigo's true Bankai, the true Tensa Zangetsu, and it being immediately broken. And I kind of like that in the trailer as well. They do show the Bankai and then instantly break it, as though that's how it plays out in the story as well. There was a part of me that was kind of hoping there would be some substantial changes to Ichigo's Bankai itself. It's always been massively underwhelming to me. In terms of visuals, I'm talking about here, the way it looks. I do think it's a downgrade over his previous two Bankai, but that would maybe be asking too much. Actually, fundamentally changing the design of Ichigo's Bankai probably would never have happened anyway. But I am surprised that they are so laissez-faire about just showing it in the trailer here. But then, like I say, they've done that sort of thing before. So, I mean, there's really not a lot to talk about here, but if we discuss the trailer briefly, considering how little was here, this is the least amount of, I guess, content any of these initial trailers has ever had before. You know, I just went back before looking at this one to get you the durations of those previous trailers and had a brief rewatch, and they both showed way more than this. Part 2 trailer in particular, I feel like teased quite a lot, including some dialogue that actively teased Shinji's Bankai. So that was kind of cool. Then the Part 3 trailer, the Part 3 trailer showed off loads, with conceptual 3D imagery that teased Aizen's return. It teased all of the major battles of the part, you know, Basby versus Hashwolf, Kyoraku versus Leal, Mayuri versus Pernida. All of those things were teased in that initial trailer. Here, I mean, we've got none of that. One fight is hinted at in this trailer, and even then it's only an aspect of that fight. Although there is, I guess, there is a bit of... So actually, there are two things technically teased here. Because obviously we talked about, if we go back to the trailer, we talked about Ichigo's Bankai a lot, but then there is that moment where his blade turns white after he essentially awakens his power. Now that they are in harmony, he has to try and get them to work with him as well. He has to learn how to harness it and bring it out in the midst of battle. Turning it white, turning the blade white, that's actually the initiation for his Horn of Salvation form. So that's actually what they're showing here in the trailer. They're teasing the Horn of Salvation, and they are explicitly showing the Bankai. That's another fight that I think could stand to benefit from some changes, to be honest. It's perhaps not quite as dire as something like Uryu versus Hashwolf, but it could do with some changes. But yeah, I mean, that's really it for the trailer. There's not a lot to speculate on. There's no dialogue, like I said in part 2 and part 3's trailer. There was actually some dialogue we could go off. Considering how little there is here, and there is no breath, as far as I'm aware, of a release date whatsoever, it wouldn't surprise me if we were looking at 2026 for this, early 2026. I've got no problem with that, to be honest. I'm happy to wait. I'm happy to let them knuckle down, get on with this, and deliver the best product they possibly can. I mean, the 1,000 Year Blood War Arc Part 3 had a pretty, it was kind of in development for quite a long time, especially in comparison to Part 2, and I think it turned out all the better for it. Part 3 is stellar, in my opinion, with almost every episode being really just fantastic. Very few dips in quality, and the actual quality highs, certainly in comparison to Part 2, I think were higher in general. So I've got no issue with waiting for the anime team to really bring us their best work. And I think they're going to want to do that as well, as this is the final part now. I mean, I want to do a slightly deeper dive into what to expect from Core 4 in the next week or so anyway, based on some exciting comments from Kubo himself that up until now I haven't really had a chance to actually talk about. But yeah, I mean, with all of that kind of looked at, I think that's it for me, guys. I think that's it from me for 2024. Thank you again so very much, as always, for your incredible support. I really could not do any of this without you. I'm so privileged and honoured to be able to share my love for this wonderful series, and hopefully other series too, now we have a bit more time with you as well. It really does mean the absolute world to me, and I love as well, of course, seeing the immense amount of passion for Bleach, especially with the 1,000 Year Blood War arc on the up and up. This anime really has done so very much for the franchise, I think, and it's very exciting. The future looks so bright for Bleach. Yes, it is inherently disappointing in a sense that the 1,000 Year Blood War arc anime's end is on the horizon, but you know, I'm hopeful that the franchise's best days are still ahead. There is so much to look forward to, and I do think the 1,000 Year Blood War arc anime, at least as an outsider looking in from the periphery, has done a lot of good for the series in general. There is so much excitement around Bleach, and yeah, I'm just very grateful, very humbled to be able to share that with you. So thank you so very much. I hope that 2024 has been good to all of you, and I hope that 2025 will be an absolutely fantastic year for each and every one of you as well. But yeah, with the very short and very light on information trailer out of the way, I'm going to leave you now to your New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thank you once again for the continued support. It does mean the absolute world to me. And speaking of support, we're going to end this video as we always do by saying a massive thank you and giving a huge shout out to my wonderful supporters over on Patreon. I really do appreciate each and every one of you so very much. If you want to support me over on Patreon, you can do just that. At the $1 a month tier, you get your name in the credits of every video just like this, and at the $2 tier or higher, you can enjoy every single one of my videos absolutely free of baked-in YouTube ads. Alright guys, once again, thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you later, and I'll see you in 2025.